Hello, this is Dustin again. I am here with once again the L-1 update for May 29th, 2020. This video is for, as at the time of the recording, this video is for the May 30th, 2020 launch of the SpaceX DM-2 mission, taking Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley to the International Space Station. And this time, we hope that second time is the charm. Now, the reason why this video is a little later than originally anticipated is I wanted to wait on Jim Bridenstine's announcement from the Friday afternoon weather briefing that took place a little earlier today at the time of this recording. And he simply said, we're not sure. We're going to hold off and we're going to wait until Saturday morning, tomorrow morning, at the time of this recording, to figure out what we're going to do. So, in this very quick briefing, if you will, I'm going to go through some of the weather observations and the weather constraints that we'll be looking at for the next few days. Saturday, May 30th at 3:22 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And then also we're going to look at Sunday, May 31st at 3 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. We're going to look at those two. And real quick, before I go any further, look at this gorgeous photo that my good friend Brandon Wing got. Man, that is stunning. Anyway, let's move through this. So our next, let's go ahead and look at the concerns. So we went through this a few days ago, but again, showers and thunderstorms in the area. Again, it's Florida. It's in the afternoon. There's always a chance for showers and thunderstorms in the area. That is a primary concern. That is one of the main reasons why we did not get a launch this past Wednesday, and if there is a potential abort or an potential scrub, this will be what happens. We will see showers and thunderstorms in the area. Now, as we will see a little further in this briefing, we will see that the potential for showers and thunderstorms is lowering as compared to what we saw on Wednesday. Considering Wednesday we were kind of on the backside of that tropical system that went into the Carolinas. Also, we're looking at flying through precipitation and the Detached Anvil Cloud rule. The Detached Anvil Cloud rule simply means that even the anvil cloud of a previously developed thunderstorm can be a danger as far as producing lightning. And that also goes for the Cumulus cloud rule. So we're going to be looking at scattered cumulus clouds, and if there's any cumulus clouds that extend into the freezing region, that is a concern. Again, we'll look at some of the constraints on the next slide. The last element that I want to look at is storms in the abort and recovery area, and I look forward to talking a little bit more about that when we get into some of the weather models that I've been studying very closely. Now, before moving forward, I just want to let you know that I am not a meteorologist. I am just a weather geek. I study it. I love to learn as much as I can about it. But again, I am not the official. If you need to make a decision based on whether you're going to go to this launch or stay home, again, I am not an official. I am just a weather nerd. I take the data that I'm looking at. Everything that I'm saying is based on what I am looking at. People like Levi from Tropical Tidbits and the amazing people at the 45th Space Wing Weather Squadron. These are the people that you need to be listening to. I am getting my data from these people and these sites and these sources who have been vetted and who are responsible for producing these forecasts. So, if you're looking for the official forecast, you can look at this screen right here, and then you can go off and not listen to anything else. Further along in the video, I will explain what these mean. So again, this is the launch mission execution forecast based on early in the morning on May 30th. Early this morning, Friday, May 30th, or my bad, early in the morning on May 29th, for the May 30th launch and the May 31st launch. Okay, so again, as I said, this is from earlier in the morning, meaning there's been changes that have taken place. And so what I'm going to talk about in this specific briefing is I'm going to talk about the changes since this came out. So looking right here, without reading through this whole thing, there is, and we're going to look at it in a few minutes, but there's a frontal boundary that is coming through and is moving through the eastern seaboard. And later on tonight, Friday night, it is going to exit the eastern seaboard coast and is going to begin to move over the western Atlantic. This cold front is going to bring shower activity over the western Atlantic, and it is along the cold front line. It's going to cause a potential setup for what I believe will be later in the afternoon on Saturday. Again, this cold front is going to be absolutely key to whether we launch on Saturday or Sunday. If I wasn't clear, we got news from Jim Bridenstine that his decision on whether we're going to be launching this on Saturday or Sunday will wait till Saturday morning. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that we will press with a launch on Saturday. I believe that if they were not going to press forward with a launch on Saturday, they were going to make that call immediately or a little bit earlier in the day on Friday. The reason why I say that is because they're already scheduling people to be out there. People are going to be out there on staff very early, and there's a whole team of people, and that's part of what goes into it. The ensuring that those teams of people get their opportunity to rest, relax, and have downtime between attempts. Now, of course, they could do back-to-back attempts, but ideally for them to be in the perfect state of mind, to be perfect in their ability to make decisions. Jim Bridenstine mentioned on the press briefing a little bit earlier today, that's something they're going to be looking at. Moving forward, I want to look at this real quick. So May 30th, it says there's a 50% probability of violating weather constraints. 50-50, flip a coin. What's going to happen? That's basically what it was this past Wednesday, and that's what it's going to be according to this tomorrow. Again, the same thing we discussed earlier, flying through precipitation, Anvil Cloud rule, and the Cumulus Cloud rule. Now, what is very important to look at is if you look at the additional criteria for May 30th, it says the booster recovery weather is low. Now, what the meteorologists saw here is what I'm going to talk to you about moving forward. And it's important that they're calling that a low risk, because that will set a precedence for how we will view this specific criteria moving forward. Again, let's look at Sunday. Sunday, May 31st, 40% chance of violation, and this is due to flying through precipitation, the thick cloud rule, and the cumulus cloud rule. Again, very similar criteria. Moving forward, I just want to quickly go through this. I'm not just super quickly. I'm going to go through the first three boxes. I'm highlighting these specific ones because these specific ones are the ones that are going to be most looked into moving forward in the next few days as we anticipate a launch of this Dragon 2 or this DM-2 mission with the Dragon and Falcon 9 from SpaceX for the NASA mission. So again, we're going to be looking at lightning. Of course, lightning is no bueno. We cannot see lightning. If there is lightning within 30 minutes, within 10 nautical miles, that is a no-go. Again, do not launch within 10 nautical miles of an attached thunderstorm anvil cloud, and do not launch within 10 miles of a detached thunderstorm anvil cloud. Again, that anvil cloud rule. Again, let's look right here. It says do not launch. Right up here, it says do not launch within 10 nautical miles of cumulus clouds where the tops extend into freezing temperatures unless the specific height associated with distance criteria can be met. Again, this is very important. Now moving through, let's go ahead and look at Saturday, May 30th for the 1922 UTC launch. Okay, so first things first, let's look at the path. Now, what's important to look at, this is the NAM. This is the model that absolutely nailed Wednesday. Absolutely. And if you go back and look at my video, it nailed Wednesday. It showed storms in the area. And this is the one that I was looking at. Again, it nailed Wednesday. And so I believe that it's looking pretty good. If we look at right here, there might be a little shower here. Again, this is guidance. As the local meteorologist in my area says, guidance is not gospel. Okay, this does not mean that these storms or these green dots are going to be exactly where they're going to be. All this is just showing the general pattern of how many are going to be there. So again, around 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, it's not going to be super scattered. If you look right here, you see the line where that front is. That's important. If the front line is closer down here, then you're going to see more shower activity by the Cape. Again, the shower activity is going to fire up along this line right here that goes in the front. That is key. Again, the main trend that I've been looking at over the last few days for Saturday has been this frontal system. You can see it plain as day right here, and it is seemingly moving slower and slower and slower. And so if the trends continue, we might see a great opportunity to launch. And now looking right here, we see some showers offshore, but these showers are not any more volatile than the showers we saw offshore on Wednesday. There's plenty of showers offshore. All those storms that moved across Titusville and across the Cape went offshore, and rain was still falling, but there's something about being over land that convection produces a little bit more lightning, especially during the day, than over the ocean. So again, moving forward, let's look at this. This is just the general cloud level. Now we'll look at this. We'll look at the clouds in a future slide. While these clouds are pretty tall, again, from what we saw on this past Wednesday's launch, this isn't as much of a concern as I originally would think it would be. Again, if you look at this, it's mostly to partly cloudy in the general vicinity of Cape Canaveral, and that's good news for launch. Again, surface winds, not a big deal. 20 knots is okay. 20 knots is completely nominal. In fact, even to launch off the pad, they just went below 30 miles per hour, and that's about, I believe, 26, 27, 28 knots, if I'm not mistaken, just off the top of my head. Anyway, if you go through here, this right here is this is another model, the Wharf model, another model that I've been watching. This shows a little bit more shower activity over the Cape, but again, these are not those major bundles of energy. These are showers, and they're also very scattered. So with every model run, the positioning of these showers changes. Again, this is guidance, not gospel. It's not saying there's going to be a shower right there at this time, guaranteed. It's just giving you an idea of the coverage of the showers in this area. This is really important. I want to show you the cloud cover. So you see these high clouds look to be very thick, but when I go to this next image, it's actually pretty scattered. So if you've ever looked up in the sky and you see those very high clouds that are just blanketing the sky at 30,000 feet, many times these clouds are not are at a place where they cannot be electricity producers. Unless they're a detached anvil, they're not going to be producing electricity in such a way that a descending the unlikely abort of a Dragon capsule, it would not produce electricity. Keep in mind that one of the reasons why a launching Falcon 9 it could potentially become a lightning producer is because its velocity moving through the clouds creates that friction, that extra potential. Also, the exhaust, believe it or not, and I stand corrected if I'm wrong about this. Please put in the comments. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But if I'm not mistaken, that exhaust path, the flow of exhaust coming out of the rocket leading to the ground actually creates a grounding. So it allows that if there's electricity, if there's a negative potential in the cloud, it can allow that negative potential or that voltage to travel through the rocket, through the exhaust, and into the ground. And that is what happened. That's what I believe happened with the Saturn V with Apollo 12 that attempted to that launched through and actually got struck by lightning because of this. Anyway, if you look right here again, we are not seeing the clouds. Now, if you look closer to the Cape on the WRF model, it is going to be scattered clouds, exactly what we're seeing, scattered and broken clouds. Again, that's not fully clear, but it's still a partly to mostly cloudy or an intermittent cloud type setup. Going through, again, we have the booster recovery winds, very nominal. Okay, let's go ahead and look at downrange. Again, there's some precipitation downrange on May 20 for this Saturday, but I would not consider that a concern because it's not any more a concern than what we saw downrange with the tropical system and the moisture it had offshore. Again, same thing. If Wednesday was passable, then I believe that tomorrow, Saturday, would be passable as well. No big deal. Let's look at Sunday real quick. Again, Sunday looks near perfect in terms of the weather, not just downrange, but over the Cape. There, especially since the forecast, especially since the earlier in the day you get, the less shower and thunderstorm activity there is. This is kind of that sweet spot. So on Saturday, the front is going to be north of Central Florida, and then on Sunday, the front is going to be south of Central Florida. That's going to be an ideal setup for both days. Again, looking at the cloud cover, at this point, based on this model, you're looking at part clear, mostly sunny to partly cloudy. It's very good weather, especially for my launch photographer buddies. I know that I plan on being in Titusville with my 600 millimeter lens and taking pictures. So again, looking at this, I don't see any concern with downrange winds. Again, there's precipitation, but again, going back to what we saw on Wednesday, anything you're flying through can't be too big of a deal considering Wednesday. Again, I don't want to write that off because they're still going to be looking at criteria. But again, this is guidance, not gospel. The GFS, as we're seeing right here, is a very wide, very broad, very low resolution weather model. Okay, when you're looking at weather models that cover the entire Atlantic Ocean, you're going to be looking at a very low resolution model. When you look at the WRF model and the NAM model, you're looking at a very high resolution model, but those are more local. You're looking at the southeast of the United States, or maybe even closer, looking at specifically Florida. Okay, that's what those are for. So again, let me give you a quick recap. Saturday, May 30th, 1922 UTC, my projection is a 40% chance of POV. I should have been more clear about that. 40% chance of violation, meaning there's a 60% chance of going. Sunday, May 31st, at exactly 19 UTC or 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, my projection is only a 30% probability of violation. This includes that downrange weather that we're looking at as well. Again, this is my prediction. I am not an official. I am not from the 45th Space Wing. I'm just a weather enthusiast and a space enthusiast and a rocket enthusiast who is super interested in what's going to happen. And I hope it launches. My gut feeling is because the trend is in the right direction, my gut feeling is they will press forward for Saturday. I mean, this could be dated in just a few hours, or this could be dated by morning Saturday, depending on when you watch this. But I personally, my gut feeling is that it will go Saturday. But if it does go Sunday, the weather does improve slightly. Now, if we start looking at at late evening models and into tomorrow morning, the models begin to trend in the opposite direction, I would not be surprised if they go with Sunday. But if these models persist and the trend continues that the shower activity around Cape Canaveral continues to diminish, or the timing of those showers begins to move uh, uh, backward in time, in the sense that instead of those showers appearing at 3 p.m., they appear at 5 or 7 p.m. That is good news. That means we'll have a launch on Saturday. I am pretty confident we'll get off the ground this weekend. Again, I'm thankful that you've taken the time to listen to this, and I'm excited about this launch, and I wish all the best for Bob Bankin and Doug Hurley. I really hope that they have a safe journey and a great experience going to the ISS. It's going to be awesome. The whole world will be watching. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. Again, I am Dustin Smith. Have a great day.